but what you're talking about is replacing the healthcare plan with another one. The thing is that I'm a free market guy. I just simply believe that the
That's
free
what my
market-
approach is, free market.
Well, no, it's not, because you're talking about legislation. That is not free market. Free market is simply the government does not intervene in something it doesn't have the authority to do. It simply allows the free market to come up with the ideas on its own. If the people demand a certain thing, the economy will provide that.
Yeah.
In any product.
People are demanding associated health plans.
So you're-
They're demanding purchasing health care across state lines.
I understand.
Let me finish, let me tell you my full point. If you don't agree with it, it's fine. But the issue is, it says that if we want to make sure that people do have health care in this country, that's affordable to them, that will encourage doctors to go into doctoring, that'll encourage nurses to go into nursing, that will not be controlled by the government, but is controlled by a patient standing in front of his or her doctor and saying, what do I need? And how can I pay for it? Whether it's cash in my own health savings account, which is my money, and now the government hasn't taken it, in fact, has left it in my hands to do for myself what I can and should do. Or if it's a group of businesses that say, we want to supply assurance for our employees, but the government won't allow us to do it now. They won't allow us to join together as a group of contractors, just like the big three are able to do because of size. We can do it because of size if you let us do that. We don't allow them now. I think that's wrong. It ought to be allowed, it ought to be encouraged for businesses. We ought to be able to purchase health care across state lines to expand the base, the competitive nature of it. We won't allow that now. Why? Because state governments like Michigan have regulations in place that won't allow it. This will say, wait a second, you can buy anywhere you want. Fourthly, we'll put in tort reform that reduces frivolous lawsuits. That is a responsibility we have. Let's cut down frivolous lawsuits by putting a cap on non-economic damages. Sure, if it's malpractice, sue. That's your right, your responsibility. But if it's just a bad outcome, the doctor told you it can happen this way. I can't promise you that you're gonna breathe as fully as you want to if we do this surgery on your adenoids or whatever. And it comes out, doesn't work. There's no suit requirement for that, and especially when you get pain and suffering. Deal with that. And then give the same tax benefits that we give to businesses for purchasing health care for their employees, to individuals who do the same thing. Now, is that pure, unadulterated, free market with no government control? No. But we don't live in a world right now in this country where we're gonna get to that overnight. Or
No,
ever
I
get to
understand it, and we'll never get that way unless we actually don't, exactly. That doesn't mean just incrementalism towards that. It means if something comes up, it means simply, for instance, the healthcare bill. Introduce legislation to repeal it.
We will, and I will.
Okay, so you will introduce it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then as far as the tax credits and all this kind of stuff, it's just simply government intervention again. You just don't support intervention as far as in these different fields where the Constitution simply doesn't allow it.
Well,
Something has to be done though to support the people on insurance, I understand what you're saying, but if we don't force a certain segment of society, they'll become older and ill and they have no money, then as taxpayers, we're gonna have to pick up the funding for their health care. I mean, something has to force us as a population and individuals to some form of insurance, so when that day comes, we can afford it.
It's
Well,
sad in the United States that we've gotten to a point where people expect that they can walk into an emergency room and somebody will pay for it. We can't allow that. And yet the society will not allow us at this point, and probably never will, for us to simply say, no, you don't have insurance, go out and die in the streets. That won't be allowed either. So I think we have to deal with reality to some point, and that's where you come in with this patient-centered, private sector approach that gives incentives by giving the tax dollars back as an incentive to the young kids like my youngest son, for instance. Bulletproof, why do I need insurance? I'm healthy. I'd rather buy a new sound system or whatever else. That cannot be allowed, because then he goes in to the emergency room and you pay for it. That's not right. So I think if we take away the disincentives, we say, listen, there is no incentive for you not to use some either comprehensive health plan and take the tax benefit for doing that. And I think that gives incentives down the road.